Hi, very warm welcome, Jim from Avstar. You know, I don't think people have realised what's happened. I think it's, for a lot of people, it's just been overlooked, or it's something they don't want to look at. Because if they do, they're going to see what's going on. Guys, this is not related to any single country in the world. This is a global crisis right now, and it's all the same in every country. There is a cost of life, crisis. Nobody can afford to participate in the systems in any of the countries in the world. China, millions and millions of jobs have gone. People are sleeping in the subways, under the bridges, you name it. And I said to you, if you want to know what's coming in your country, in the West, then look at what's happening in the countries that have the largest populations. And we're not ready for this in the West. These other countries like India, Pakistan, they're battle hardened to poverty. They can manage on a couple of dollars a week. We've never had to do that. But what's happening right now isn't being addressed by any of the world governments. And that also means European governments, the Western governments, Canada, America, Australia, South America, you name it. These issues are in every single country, and it's all the same. Cost of living crisis. How did society, how did this world get derailed into this, is what I'm trying to figure out. The governments and the politicians, it's either they don't want to do nothing or they don't know what to do. We've had in the last couple of years here in the UK, and you know it if you're a Brit, how many chancellors of the Exchequer have we seen in the last 5 years? And everyone that gets a look at the books knows that they can't do nothing about it. And meanwhile, jobs are going. It's not just here in the UK. This is happening, guys. This is what I want you to realise. This is global. I've never known a global recession or a global crisis such as this. In America, people can't afford to live. In the UK, people can't afford to live. The whole of Europe can't afford to live. Something's gone terribly wrong. And the media, mainstream media, are not putting the pieces together deliberately because they don't want to make the matter even worse by bringing it to the general public's attention that there is a global crisis. I'll say it again. It's a global crisis. Something that started creeping in around 18 months ago at the worst parts, and it's getting worse as the days go on. More and more people are being evicted. More and more people are defaulting on the mortgages. This isn't something we've seen before. This can't be compared to 2008. You can't compare this to 2008, the recession. This is on a massive, grand, global scale. I was watching today the Midas Touch. You might be subscribed to him, or you might have come across his videos, but he was showing you what's going on in LA with that organisation, ICE, rounding up people, and there was pretty much a riot there. The people were protesting, asking for them people to be returned. And I've noticed, and I know if you're an American, you know this, the country is split in half. You've got half of the country which have brought into Trump's promises, but I think, for those people that have brought into his promises and they voted him, I've heard people saying now that they regret it because everything he's promised he's failed on. And that recent argument and the fallout with Elon Musk, well, I knew this was going to happen months ago because I know Donald Trump, and he doesn't change his spots. He is definitely a leopard that don't change his spots. Everyone he comes in contact with, they end up at some point getting thrown under the bus. His lawyers he don't pay. You know, some of his colleagues are in jail because of him. He always seems to land, you know, on his feet. If that guy fell out of a skyscraper, he'd land in a suit. And you know what? It's true. He would never have been elected if it weren't for Elon Musk and his massive investment into MAGA. But now look at them. They was the best of friends at one point, and now, well, they're exchanging insults. You know, couldn't be the worst of enemies. In fact, look what Elon Musk has suggested, that Donald Trump now gets impeached. You got 1 minute Donald Trump turning the White House lawn into a car lot and a flea market with Teslas all over the place, and then the next minute you've got Elon Musk asking for Donald Trump to be impeached. Well, I will say this, Donald Trump hasn't helped the world economy, and Donald Trump is solely responsible for what's going on largely in China. Not everything, but you know, he has caused a lot of trouble, not just in China either, globally. And nobody seems to care. You know, this is it. This is what I really struggle to get to grips with. You know, nobody cares about human beings, it seems, anymore. You know, it's like, you know, they've been pacified to the ignorance of just looking the other way. When, you know, this is not right. There are war criminals in our world getting away with killing innocents. You know, I think it's on the Strand in London, the law courts. Above the door it says, protect the poor. You know, at one point in the world, there was compassion for human beings and human suffering, and now it seems like people have become thick-skinned to it. And that's not right. You know, when we lose our compassion for each other, you know, that's a road to ruin. That's the end of society. You know that, don't you? When we lose compassion for each other, that's what's happening. We're being pacified. It's really sad to see, you know, the unfolding of society in this world today. To see, and I don't know why more people haven't realised that something's seriously gone wrong. This is a catastrophe. It's not a crisis, it's worse than a crisis. You know, this is a global issue. Every country is the same story. The cost of living crisis. People can't afford to live. You know, if you're a single person, how are you going to do it? How are you going to live? You know, the bills have to be paid. You know, you have to go to work, and you still haven't got enough money. There are nurses in this country that come home from their week's work, and then on the Saturday they're in the food bank asking for food. These are people that care for others in hospitals. You know, this shouldn't be happening. Shouldn't be happening in the UK. Shouldn't be happening in the West or Europe or any of these modern countries. But I think personally, and I would like to know what your opinion is, I think this is largely down to the capital system has collapsed. It no longer serves the purpose it was set up to do, because we have evolved with technology. Now where do we go from here? What gets changed? Are we just going to allow the rich to continue treating us like slaves now? Is that it? Until we end up on the streets, we end up with an illness as a result of being on the streets, or pneumonia, and we die. You know, people are going to die this winter. We're 6 months out. People are going to die this winter, and there will be more people on the streets than there ever has been. Record-breaking numbers of homeless. And we're talking not just people homeless, we're talking families with their children homeless. having to live in tents, in derelict gardens of buildings, under subways. It's not right. Nobody... What's happened to people collectively getting together and forcing these governments that are supposed to be public servants and making them do something about it? Has it got to the point where they feel that nothing ever changes and therefore there's no point trying? Because nothing will ever change. What's happening is we're sinking as a society, as a nation, and not just a nation, as a global species. We are sinking to levels that have not been ever recorded before or witnessed. And nobody seems to want to do anything about it. Do the elite not realise that if they do not keep the roots of this society afloat, then it will inevitably cut the nutrients off to the tree where they are living right now? They are the tree, we are the roots. Do they not understand that if they cut the roots off, that they will not prosper in this system? I don't know what's going to happen in the long-term future or in the short-term future, whether we are going to resort, because we've got no money, it's going to go back to the bartering system, or, I don't know. I really don't know. Let's wait and see where this goes. But right now, it's on a decline, and I think that the momentum of this decline has got to such an inertia that it's unstoppable. And there needs to be a crisis plan put in place to stop it going where it's going to go. Because we are going to see more people on the streets, and they're not protesting people. These are violent riots that are going to be taking place. You can take that at the bank, that's what's coming, you know it. Because when people lose everything, they lose it. That's what's going to happen. People are going to lose it. We're going to start, I'm not going to make predictions. I think you can use your imagination where this is going next. But there is something changed in our society, I'm not going to mention it, which is, it's scary. And you're going to hear about it, I guarantee you, and you're going to see more of it. And there's nothing at this point that anyone seems willing to do about it. This, like I said, is not like anything else we've ever experienced in this world. It's not just the collapse of one empire. It's the collapse of global commerce. And this has become it's worse than a pandemic. This is a pandemic of poverty that is erupting. And you know what? Here's the thing. There's a lot of people in this world that are, not accepting the situation that they're in. They're living in denial. And yeah, guys, if you want to help support what we do here on the channel, the link's down there. And I won't keep any more of you, take any more of your time off you. You think about what I've been talking about over the last few days in the videos. And I really don't know what the solution is to this, but something needs to happen. Something needs to change, because it can't continue like this. So what I usually do, as always, bye for now.